Welcome to episode 4 of True Stories to Tell in the Dark. I'm your host, Rudy III. Today's episode is pretty creepy and a little bit longer than usual, so we'll get right into it after I make this announcement. I started a Twitter account for us, so if you guys like to follow us over there at Insomniac City, we have a couple creepy stories and all kinds of stuff that we tweet over there, on top of a daily newsletter about creepy and unexplained mysteries. We also have a store now, shop.spreadshirt.com/insomniaccity. Head over there if you want to get any merch. Don't forget to hit the banner so that you guys can get some money off your purchase and a little bit back in your pocket. Thanks for listening, you guys. I really appreciate all of the support. Hope you enjoy this episode. I'll talk to you guys soon. I've posted this before, and it's been a while, so let's see how my memory goes. I used to work at a place which required to be manned 24 hours a day. The reason being that I handled sensitive document files, and if somebody needed this information in the middle of the night, I would have to fetch it for them. Anyways, security is kind of tight. Bars on the windows, multiple locked doors to get where I am. They would give me work to do during the night, but underestimated how quickly I could get it done. So most nights I finished my work in like 30 to 45 minutes, and pulled out my phone and played games or watched Netflix and browsed Reddit, since nobody else is in the building at night. It is getting to be the last third of my shift, when all of a sudden I hear a door close. I look to the security camera and see someone walking down a hall towards my room. At first, I thought it was just somebody that came in early, so I turned around and waited for them to come in, but no one did. The hairs start to rise on the back of my neck. Now, this isn't really a big building, so I figure I'll find the guy wherever he is. So I start checking offices and storage rooms, but come up empty-handed. I do see that a fire door had shut. I go to try and rewind the camera, but the digital recording is password protected, and I don't know the password. Anyways, the whole thing freaked me out. The way the person was walking down the hallway like a determined walk right to where I was. I sat with my spine tingling for the last couple hours of my shift, and people started finally coming in. My replacement shows up and I tell her what I saw. At this point, I figured I must have imagined the whole thing. I'm told to go home and the manager and girl who replaced me would look over the camera. After I get home, I call my manager and ask what was on the camera. They said that the video showed the fire door closing, but then the video froze for about an hour. The next thing it records is me reopening the door. I'm a skeptic and used to be a rabid atheist. But I had this dream several years ago, and I've been having the same dream over and over again, each time more vivid than the last. It's beginning to scare me a little. Laugh if you want, but here it goes. I'm completely naked and I'm gripping the dirt in total black despair. I'm crying uncontrollably and could feel the howling wind and stinging rain pelting me in a totally black night. I'm at the edge of an opaque abyss with nowhere to run. There's thunder and lightning above. I use all my strength to look up and I can see something forming in the sky. Ever notice that clouds can form shapes? Well, the clouds start to form into a skull which is staring at me in the sky with utter malice and disgust. I then look at my hands and they're starting to rot. The skull is starting to rush towards me and opens its mouth wide to devour me. And I lay there thinking, please take me. Please take me, I'm worth nothing and nothing can help me. I then strangely felt so happy that I could cry. The kind of joy that comes for no reason at all. I look behind myself, almost completely rotted at this point, and there is... Alright, you can laugh now. A unicorn. A unicorn so devastatingly beautiful that it hurts my mind to even imagine it. It had a shimmering rainbow aura, And the strange part was that it was translucent, and every time its heart beat, it was pulsing with light. Many people depict unicorns as dinky white horses with horns. This one was quite small, but it was way more beautiful and fantastically strange than what is normally drawn as. It was walking towards me, bracing itself against the wind and rain. The skull begins to shriek at it, and fire and lightning comes out of its mouth. But the unicorn keeps walking, because its aura shields it from harm. It now stands in front of me and raises its head, looking the skull in its black hole eyes. The unicorn lets out a powerful roar like a lion that shakes the whole ground. You didn't hear it through your ears, though, but almost telepathically. The skull then rushes towards me with terrifying speed, but just before it can devour me, the unicorn raises its horn, which was also strange. It wasn't something exactly that someone could touch, but more like a swirling beacon of blinding light, and it stabs the skull right in the mouth. The last thing I remember is a hellish shriek and blinding light, and the skull was being destroyed. Now I'm completely healed with the dawn sun rising in the sky, and even a rainbow is beginning to streak. The unicorn's gone, but that feeling, that joy that I felt, was still coursing through me. Alright, so like I said, I'm a skeptic, but this dream has happened too many times for me to ignore it. There are other odd things that are happening more and more frequently. Seeing the number 11, for example. In fact, too many to even list here. If someone knows about what happened or about dreams and their messages, please let me know. I thank everyone for their knowledge and advice in advance. This story happened back in the late 90s when I was in second grade. At the time, my uncle on my mom's side was enlisted in the Navy. Due to the nature of his job, he constantly traveled to other parts of the world. He was stationed in different countries frequently, sometimes for years at a time. He was usually so far away, my family did not get to see him very often. My mother and him were very close, and I had a special relationship with him as well. Every time he visited a new place, he would send me a gift. A magic lamp from Saudi Arabia, castanets from Spain, rosary beads from Notre Dame, etc. He was always a lot of fun, and I treasured the time that we spent together. This particular year, he had received some time off, and informed us he would come stay with us for the holidays. We were all beyond thrilled to see one of our favorite relatives. One day, while both my parents were at work, he decided to take my brother and I to a nearby mall. At the time, my brother was 12 and I was 7. We had a good time going to the various stores, getting lunch, and watching skateboarders at the indoor skate park. Although my uncle loved us dearly, I wouldn't exactly call him the best and most attentive babysitter. While the three of us were heading out, my brother and uncle were much further ahead of me, both of them walking extremely fast and seemed engaged in their conversation. Being a very small girl for my age, combined with having Lyme disease, made it difficult for me to walk at their pace. And as hard as I tried to catch up with them, I only seemed to be falling further back. Suddenly, from the left side, I felt someone grab me. It happened in an instant, and my mind raced while trying to process what was happening. Looking up, I saw him. A face that I recall clear as day 20 years later. He was an old man, perhaps in his late 70s, but his face was horribly disfigured. All of his skin hung low and poured over his other features. What I most remember was his nose, which was more of a giant tumor that covered his entire mouth. Looking back, it is now clear that the man had elephant disease. The man did not say anything to me. Instead, he crouched down to my level and put his face just inches from mine. Then he made the most intense eye contact I'd ever experienced. Both of his hands were wrapped around my arm so tightly that I winced in pain. Abruptly, he began to shake me, as if to force me to look at him. I was so paralyzed in fear that I couldn't even make a sound. For some reason, I just simply stood there, frozen, staring at him. While this was happening, the mall was by no means empty. People passed by, but they either didn't care or didn't notice. After about a minute, which seemed far longer, adrenaline got the better of me and I violently wriggled from his grip. In tears, I moved as briskly as I could towards my uncle and brother. Luckily, the man did not follow me. By this time, my family members had finally realized that I was gone, and both turned around while I approached them. Their backs were to me during the entire encounter, so they had no idea what just occurred. I didn't say anything to either of them, because I was afraid somehow I had done something wrong. When I got home, I had bruises from where the man had grabbed me. I hid them from my mom so I didn't have to explain what happened. The incident left me so traumatized that the very same night I went vegetarian. In my 7-year-old mind, every time I looked at meat, I would think of that man's face. He had stared so intently at me. I would have nightmares that he was coming back for me and was petrified to go back to that mall for many years. Now that I'm an adult, I look back and wonder what exactly transpired. Did he want to kidnap me? Was he tired of being ignored by society? Maybe he had dementia. I'll never know. Even though I have empathy and wish him well, I also take solace in the fact that we'll probably never meet again. In no way, shape, or form is it my intention to speak ill of individuals who have any type of deformity or condition. This story is simply my recollection of an event that occurred when I was a child. Please keep this in mind in your comments, as I would never judge someone based on physical characteristics that they cannot control. Hi, my name is Katerina. I work in a grocery shop in LA. This experience is true and horrid. I work mornings, but sometimes will take the night shift for extra penny. Last month, I was about to close the shop when a man in a black suit came in and asked for a bottle of soda. I was very tired and on autopilot, so I didn't really take notice of the guy other than his purchase. I handed him the bottle. He paid and left. I closed the shop and hurried home. On my way home, I noticed the same man following, but this time he was skinnier than I remembered, as if he had taken off all of his old clothes. He was walking straight towards me. I was really scared. I wanted to scream, but it was as if my vocal cords wouldn't work. I started running towards my house and I suddenly saw the man was flying. It was a terrible, horrifying scene. I prayed to the Lord to give me death instead. I was so terrified and scared, I began to shake. I was drenched in sweat and the man began to laugh in a very evil way. I ran harder. By hook or by crook, I reached home that night. It was so painful for me. Not a single moment I slept. I just remembered the face of that evil creature. The next day, I again went into the shop, and the same thing happened. I didn't tell this to anyone, as no one would believe me. For the last month, the same thing has happened again and again. It follows me home and then disappears. I'm a strong believer in God, so why is this happening to me? Please, I'm out of my mind. It's ruining my life. I really can't take it anymore. Sometimes I contemplate suicide, but I think of my family depending on me. Please, someone out there, help me. Please, show me a way to get rid of this. I can't have this in my life anymore. I'm only 22. I don't have a boyfriend or any friends. I'm supposed to enjoy my life. This is the last thing that's supposed to happen to someone my age. It has become hell. Please, this has ruined my life. Please, help me. Thanks for listening to this episode of True Stories to Tell in the Dark. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a little long-winded, but those stories kind of needed the detail and all that and the setup. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, tell a friend. And if you guys want some merch, shop.spreadshirt.com/InsomniacCity. And follow us on Twitter at Insomniac City. Facebook and all that. If you guys want to stay in tuned and know exactly when things go up or any other creepy stuff from Insomniac City Productions. Thanks again for listening, you guys. I hope you continue to listen and we can keep going on this creepy journey together. Don't be afraid. It's just the dark.